Well, I've got my crock pot filled with apples. I've put about half a cup of water just to keep them from sticking and getting them, get a good start going on them. I've got my slow cooker turned to high, and I'll get them started breaking down. And when they start getting broken down and getting softer, then I'll add my spices and sugar. I might add some cinnamon. Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. Well, you can see that I had that my slow cooker mounted up with apples, and I've let them cook all night long, and you can tell that they have cooked down, and this is the consistency that they are now. I'm going to get my immersion blender out, and I'm going to blend this together because this is that applesauce, and I don't like chunky applesauce. I like a smooth applesauce. Plus, I hope that baby Howie, when he gets to eating foods here in just a few months, that he'll be able to enjoy this applesauce himself. Now, I got a little bit of the applesauce out and let it cool because it was extremely hot, and I just wanted to taste it to see if I needed to add any sugar to it. I like cinnamon in my I started to say oatmeal, in my applesauce, but because I'm gonna also try to feed some of it to baby Howie when he's older, I'm not gonna add cinnamon to it. I'm not really sure if Cheyenne likes applesauce, and I don't think Blade likes applesauce, so it'll just be me and if baby Howie likes it. But like I said, I'm gonna leave the cinnamon out for him, and I'm gonna taste it to see if it needs any sugar. It's it's a little bit tart, perhaps maybe a little bit more than what I would like. It kind of leaves a little bit of a sour aftertaste. So I'm going to go ahead and get my sugar out and add about, I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup to start with, and that's not a whole lot considering the amount of apples that I have here in the crock pot. But I'll add that, and then we'll get the immersion blender out and we will start blending this up. I'm going to go ahead and put 1/4 of a cup of sugar in these apples and get them stirred in. Get it stirred in, I should say. And then I'm going to use my immersion blender. Now you can use your big blender. You can use a food mill, potato masher, but I'm going to use my immersion blender. Now I would caution you to, whether you're using your immersion blender or your big blender, you want to be very careful because this stuff is really, really hot and you can burn yourself. You don't want to just stick this in there and turn it on and let everything fly, because you will burn yourself. So I always try to put it on the bottom. I'll show you how I get started, and then I'll get it all blended up and come back because it is really, really noisy. I'm going to check the consistency of that, and that is just about, let me see if I can't get this turned where you can see it. That's just about good for me. I like that. It's not chunky anymore. I've got it smooth, and I'm going to call that good and get it canned up. Over here on the stove, I have got my steam canner, and I've got my jars in it. They are good and hot and ready to go, and we'll be getting this applesauce put up into these jars. And I am going to use my steam canner today, and when I get that, when we get to that step, I'll explain more about that. We're going to fill our jars to 1/2-inch headspace. And we want to make sure that we just going to take my chopstick in here just to make sure if I have any little bubbles. I don't know that I've got any, but we're going to make sure that we don't. And then you can see, I think you might be able to see, that there is some of the applesauce on the rim. You always want to be able to make sure that you clean the top of your lid, no matter the top of your jar, I'm sorry. No matter what you're canning, always make sure that the top of your jar is clean. Even if you're dry canning, you want to take a dry, don't do wet, but a dry rag and make sure that the top of the lid is really, really clean, or the top of the jar is really, really clean. And then we are going to put a lid. These lids are hot. They're not boiled, but they are hot. And I'm going to put a lid on. Now you don't want to wrench these lids down. You just want to do fingertip tight. They're good. And then you're going to get them in your canner, and I'll continue this process until I get them all filled. Get that jar wiped. We'll be right back. Now, I always get lots of questions about my steam canner, and one reason that I really like this is because it uses a considerable amount, less amount of water than a traditional hot water bath canner. I still have my hot water bath canners. Anything that has to be processed over 45 minutes cannot go in a steam canner because you can't add any more water to it, and at 45 minutes you will have boiled. If it's at this proper steam, it will have boiled the water out, and there's no way to safely take the lid off and add more water like you can a traditional hot water bath canner. So that being said, this uses considerably less than a gallon of water. Your temperature to safely can comes up quicker, and my steam canner actually has a gauge right here, and it tells me for my altitude when the arrow gets over to the green coloring, and your manual will explain, sorry about that, your manual will explain all of that to you, how this works. But I know that for my altitude it has to get over to this green before I start timing it. I know that the steam has come up to temperature. There is a vent here in the back, right here, where the steam will begin to come out. So you want to make sure that you've got that vented away from any possibility of somebody that's walking by might get a steam burn or anything like that. They are incredibly painful burns, so you don't want to get any kind of burns while you're using this. But this uses less water. It comes up to temperature quicker. It helps me not to get my house so steamy hot in the summertime, and I just am in love with this product. Now, the other question, and I'm going to set this right down on top of my jars. I already have my fire on, and I'm going to let this come up to temperature. The other question that I usually get from people that have never had a steam canner before is they want to know where I got this. Well, this particular steam canner that I have is under the name Victorio, and they I have this, and I have some other products that they made, but they have changed their name. They are available on Amazon, and they last year, now there was the time that we had a little bit of trouble being able to locate these, but they are on there now, and I believe they are under the name Harvest, and I will check that, and if it's different, then when I come back to show you the finished product, I'll give you the if I need to make corrected information. But I believe it's Harvest, and I am very pleased with mine. I see that other homesteaders and farmers, people that are avid canners, are beginning to use these steam canners, and I haven't heard anybody yet say that they don't like them. This applesauce has to go for pints for 15 minutes once this comes up to temperature. And if I was doing quarts, it would be 20 minutes. So I'm going to let this do its thing, and when it's done, I'll bring you back. I have to wait 5 minutes after I turn the fire off, 5 minutes, and then I'll remove the cover away from me so there's no steam burn. And then we'll have some applesauce that we can let cool for 24 hours. Wash and clean the tops off, take the rings off, wash the tops, and it'll be ready to put on the shelf for me and maybe baby Howie to enjoy. Well, our 15 minutes of processing time has passed, and our 5 minutes of letting this set has passed, and it's now time to take the lid off away from you so you're not burned, and then just let this set. So now that they've been processed and a lot of time has passed, we'll be able to move these to a towel and let them set for 24 hours, and then we'll be able to take the rings off, wash the tops of them just in case there's any kind of residue left on there, and be able to put them on the shelves and have them to enjoy throughout the season. So we've got them moved over here, and they'll be able to cool down overnight, and tomorrow I can take the rings off and wash. Well, there you go, guys. 6 pints of fresh applesauce ready to go on the shelf. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you're looking well to the ways of your pantry. And until next time, guys, this is Josie. I love you. I really do. We're gone.